Well, Nebraska regulators are giving the green light for a new unified natural gas and electric company. Black Hills and NorthWestern Energy asked the state to approve a merger last fall. The companies claim the move will not change how much customers pay. The deal isn't final yet. Montana, South Dakota, and federal regulators need to sign off still. Now, if approved, the new combined company would serve about 350,000 Nebraskans.